Hello, this is Tim Campbell with Action Coach Business Coaching with my Survive and Thrive Business Spotlight series. The purpose is to interview local business owners to get the word out about them through my social channels and my email database. This is a free service I'm providing because my philosophy is if we save every business, we save the economy. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Jason Barnaby with Firestarters. Welcome, Jason. It's great to have you join me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, let's get started. Jason, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your business?
Right. Have been in business for myself full-time for almost 2.5 years. I started in that business after my corporate job of almost 10 years was eliminated. Thankfully, I saw the writing on the wall, so I had been making plans to do that. And I used to have a really long, it's still on my website, not really long, but a longer mission statement. I basically boiled that down to 4 words, which I've turned into 2 hashtags over the last year or so, especially during COVID times. And that is to ignite hope and to torch fear, because I think a lot of people that I'm sure, Tim, that you deal with, a lot of people that I deal with, are so stuck up here in the fear mode and in something that I call the what if abouts, right? Well, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what will happen then, and what happens is we wind up going through these things in our lives where we play out all those scenarios in our head that don't ever happen, or rarely, if ever. But those are the things that keep us stuck. And so my goal is one of the mantras I know you've heard me say, my goal is to help people get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so we do that through a number of different things. I work with corporate teams. I work with executives doing individual coaching, but I work a lot with teams who have a level of productivity and a level of synergy. I'm not somebody to come in and work with completely broken teams. That's not my jam. But if you want to take your team from the level where they are to another level, that's really where I work well. And then the other thing that I was doing a lot before COVID was traveling the country and speaking at conferences. So I'm doing a lot more of that from right here in this very seat, which is why you see the microphone and everything else, because I've invested in home studio stuff since the world turned upside down.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, Jason. What's been the greatest impact that COVID's had on your business?
Oh, man. Well, I would say 2 really, one negative, one positive. The negative one was from the week March, that Friday the 13th, right, was basically the day Indiana shut down, or at least in a lot of the rest of the country. And in the day before and the following 2 weeks, I lost about 30 grand in gigs that were going to happen, conferences that completely got canceled, like not even going to be rescheduled, things that got rescheduled, companies that put things on hold. So a lot of, okay, now what? And so that was the bad thing. The positive side of that is being able to just, I because of my personality and who I am, I thrive in situations like this. I'm able to pivot very quickly. And so I pivoted to developing a program that I already had to be a DIY, something that I wanted to do anyway. Put together a facilitator's guide and do some facilitator videos and make it so that it runs without me. And that was like maybe Q4 of 2020, maybe 2021. Well, now it's done because that needed to happen. So I've had people sign up for that, which has been fantastic. It's basically, it's called Tribe of Five. So it's you getting together with people in your tribe, your network, I call it your tribe, to really go down a 6-week, pretty intensive development journey. And I know that there are an awful lot of people who, the other reason I did it was because I know there are a lot of people who got the call that said your job's been eliminated or you're fired. And I know you've been here 25 years, but or 20 or 10, or you thought you were going to retire. A lot of people's worlds got rocked. And so I developed this for them at a lower price point as well, hopefully to make it more accessible, because I think an awful lot of people are also using this time to go, I don't really like my life or my job. And so now what? And so this time of quiet during COVID, I think, has caused people to be introspective. So I hope that I can be a guide along that road.
Fantastic. There's a lot of people who have, to your point, get stuck in this time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that you were able to so quickly pivot. You've shared this story before, but I'd love you to share it again. Tell us about your orange shoes.
Yeah, which are always within arm's length. So they're right here. So when I speak, I almost always wear Chuck Taylors, and I listened to a podcast that my wife recommended to me. And the guy who did it, he's a speaker. He travels around the country, and he has this thing called a marker of hope. And what he did, because he can't travel and he can't speak, he said, I've chosen a shirt that I love to wear. I look good in it. I'm looking forward to wearing it again. He said, I've kind of hung that by itself in my closet. So I see it every time I walk in my closet, because that's the shirt that I'm going to wear the next time I'm able to get on stage. And he just encouraged people to have a marker of hope, which I thought was really cool. Another thing that they did was they hung Christmas lights around their house. They live in California, so it looks kind of funny to have Christmas lights up in April and May and June and now July. And he said, when this is all over, I'll take the Christmas lights down. But it's a reminder to me that this is not normal. This is like what's happening right now is not the way that things should be. So I got to thinking, I'm like, what could I use for my marker of hope? Well, my color is orange. Sometimes it's more accessories than the main thing. But I found these really cool Chuck Taylors, which you'll notice still have the tag on them. And so I keep them right here on the side of my desk within arm's reach, so that I can see them whenever I'm in my office. And they will stay with the tag on until the day that I get to go back out and do a live event and step on stage. So these will be brand new shoes, even though they will be several months old by then. So it's just something for me to be reminded that I use a phrase during this time called new now. I don't think this is new normal. There are some things that are becoming more normal, but what's happening in the world today, just in general, and specifically with COVID, is not normal. And so, I keep these handy as my marker of hope. And he talked about, pick a restaurant that you want to go to, that you're going to go to when things open up. Pick something and somehow post it so that it's visual and you can see it. And it's a reminder for you that when things get back to normal, this is what I'm going to do. So it gives you something to look forward to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jason. Hey, here's an interesting question. It's been said, smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what mistakes did you make along the way, and how can other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
Well, going back several years, when I first got married, my wife and I owned a coffee shop in Europe, and I learned it was not a complete, but a fairly large failure. We didn't understand the market and what the market wanted. We forced what we thought the market wanted, and guess what? The market spoke with silence, fairly deafening. And so we were in business for about a year. So one of those was, ask your people, ask your potential customers, ask customers that you already have, what do they want? Because you could be putting something together that you think, man, this is going to rock. This is going to be amazing. You put it out and it's crickets. Did you ask? Did you ask them what they wanted? Do they want something longer, shorter, more precise, on a different topic? Like, what is it that they want? So that was definitely one thing. But the other thing too is that, and I've seen this with several of the people that are in my tribe, is that failure is not a defining moment. It's a learning moment. You can turn it into a defining moment, which I also think then becomes a defeating moment. Or you can say, what did I learn from this, and where do I go from here? And one thing I've learned in putting together these different programs and things that I have is, a lot of times I build it up in my brain and I think, this is the one, man. This is the $1 million idea, and you put it out and it's like it's a couple $100 idea or a couple $1,000 idea. And it's like, okay, what's next? And you have to be willing to go back and do it again and again and again and again and again and keep refining it, based on the why for when you started, right? You can't quit because you don't see the financial success that you thought you were going to see, or because you had these plans. And like, I see so many people that, they've tried 4 times, but they're like, I'm not going to try the 5th time, or they've tried 5 times. I'm not going to try the 6th time. Well, who's to say that that next time isn't the time, right? I mean, if you look at great inventors, they fail hundreds, if not thousands of times until they get that thing. And then it's like, hello. So just know your why, draw from that, have a tribe of people that are around you, that support you the way that you need to be supported. And if they don't, then they're probably not the right people in your tribe. Those would be the main things that I have seen just in the 2.5 short years that I've been out on my own.
Great, thank you. Our founder has a phrase that I like that really parallels what you're saying. He says he either succeeds or he learns. He
Yeah,
never fails. And so
totally agree with that. It's
I've
a
been
great
trying to
saying.
incorporate that into my own thinking, because it can be hard at times, right?
Oh yeah. And the other thing I think too about this business, and I know you know this, and I talk about this with people in my tribe too when we do get together, even if it's over a Zoom call, this is lonely work. I mean, we are grinding a lot of the days towards an event by ourselves. Then the event happens, and then it's like, go back and redo and get ready for the next thing. But a lot of the time that we spend in this, yeah, there's flexibility. Yes, there's freedom. Yes, there's financial upside, but it can also be a very lonely thing. And I don't hear people talk about that a whole lot. And if you're not convinced of your why and you don't have a strong tribe around you, man, those lonely times can get pretty wicked really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I often say that to business owners in particular, right? It's very lonely at the top because you don't
Yeah,
have those people necessarily that you feel comfortable being able to share your junk with, right? And
right.
you
Absolutely.
bottle it all up inside and try not to let it out on your family when you get home.
Right.
So I really like all that you're doing in terms of, encouraging people to build their tribe and have that network of support. So second last question here, Jason.
Yep.
I've got your email and website and phone number to include
Yep.
when I post this, but anything else that I should add, like a special offer?
So right now there's so I just released about a month and a half ago, the Tribe of 5. The folks that I have seen who have signed up for it are they're getting more out of it than they ever thought they would. I'll make the same offer that I made a couple of weeks ago on a podcast that I was on, that if you sign up 4 tribe members for a tribe of 5, but you've got 5 people, that 5th one will be free for a limited time. So it's an incentive to get all of your folks in the door, get it figured out. And there are tools in there. If you're like, oh, I've never facilitated before, I don't know how to do this, I make it as easy as possible with a guide and videos and daily videos. So you're not alone to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that,
Yeah,
Jason.
absolutely.
Last question here. Tell me, what is most inspiring to you today?
I think the most inspiring, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I don't spend a lot of time on some of I know people have found great networks and tribes on Twitter. I just have not found that, maybe because I spend more time on LinkedIn. But the people that I'm spending time with on LinkedIn are using this as an opportunity this whole time to think differently, to look at things differently, to collaborate with folks they wouldn't have collaborated with, to collaborate in different ways, to put together offerings that weren't even thought of before because of this virtual and more digital space that we find ourselves in. And I'm excited about the people and inspired by people who have said, "What's next?" Not like, "Ugh, I just can't take it anymore," by those people who are like, let's go. And that energizes me and gives me energy to say that to my people. And so it's incredibly inspiring to watch all the newness that's been created in the last 5 months. It's crazy.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Jason, that concludes the interview. I'll be posting this on my social channels later
Awesome.
today. I'll tag you on that. Also be sending a link in my weekly newsletters that come out on Tuesday mornings.
Awesome.
I'd also like to invite anyone who's listening to this to take part in a complimentary pivot session. As Jason mentioned earlier, right, we're all trying to navigate through this time, and
Yep.
we all need to figure out what's next and how to survive and then thrive. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me and we'll get that set up. Jason,
Awesome.
again, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's a real honor to be able to do stuff like this. So thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Have yourself a wonderful day.
You as well. Thanks, man.